nations, expanding your borders, and exploiting the resources you find, befriending allies, or exterminating the foes that get in your way.
Contact detected entering sector. Configuration unknown. Assessing. Initiating countermeasures.
Well, the timer was off, but the film was good, so welcome to Star Trek New Worlds. My name is Tony. Thank you for joining us here on Saturday, just a little bit past 11, for our weekly live stream. This is the first in a while, so thank you for joining us. For all of you who are joining us live, I see we are already in the double digits, so thank you all. And I can see the chat is excited and delighted already. Look at that. I don't even have my background light on. Boop. Let's do that. Come on. Anytime you're ready, hit the button. There we are. Okay. All right. So what is Star Trek New Worlds? Star Trek New Worlds is a turn-based strategy game that we play here online with you today live on YouTube and using the magic of Vassal. We play this game using the rule set of Federation and Empire as published by the Amarillo Design Bureau with a few tweaks and minor modifications for our 4X variety of this game. So this is the first live stream of a brand new campaign. Now this campaign is broken into 3 games. The campaign as a whole is called Event Horizons, but there are 3 individual games that are going on. The first is New Horizons, which is run by our GM from our previous New Worlds game, and we have 10 players in that game. We also have Splintered, which is a campaign run by a new GM who has joined us. And why am I having mental fog right now? We have Splintered Imperial Stars. Thank you very much. Imperial Stars is run by a new GM for us, but a previous player who's running that campaign. So we have 3 different campaigns, or 3 different games running in this single campaign, and we have a new slew of players that are joining us in this epic 3-game campaign. So why do we do this? This 3-game format is designed to have as many players as possible so you guys can all have fun and to be able to run the rule set as we have it now, to be able to see what works, what doesn't work, and make any changes as may be required as we go through. But at the end of the day, this is going to be fun. This is going to be a story-driven role-playing experience in a war game setting, and it's going to be exciting and delighting. Now, because this is the first live stream of this campaign, there's not too much to tell, but I will show you a few little things. We have, I'll get into the chat here in a moment, but I'll show you a basic template of what one of the maps looks like, and get you a sense of what the turn progression looks like from a macro perspective in some of the games. Now, it might be tempting for me as a player to show you, for example, my map. But as all the players who will be watching this at various points in time are eager to take me out, I am going to hold that behind the curtain, you might say, for the first little bit. So we'll we'll see how it goes. The GMs can certainly help me with divulging information by giving me anonymous maps where I'm not necessarily located in any one place, and we'll see how that goes. I think, yeah. So there is one map that one of our GMs has sent us that is an anonymous version of where I am in the game, and I will share that with you here in a momento. But before I get into all that, let's get into the chat. So we got Bill, the Smitty, the ISC Stellar Protection Force into house with shields, PBDs, and phasers charged, rear plasmas loaded. Lost Muskrat, one of our players. Carnivon can be Cheesyberg. I got to pop this out so I can get a better look at it. Stand by. There we are. Ooh. All right. Expand that. Thank you. All right. So we got Jim. Jim's in the house. All the Pravians await. You can't be petty. Hello from your Gorn overlords. Mayhem 343 is in the house. Hello. Eugene, our press agent, public affairs officer extraordinaire. 3 games, 3 times the updates, 3 times the intrigue, 3 times the fun and the wait. Where did that go? Hold on. All of a sudden I lost it. There we go. Wait, nearly over. Make sure you give the thumbs up. Yes, if you're a YouTube fan and you already know how this works, hit that thumbs up button to tickle the algorithm in just the right way. And of course, if you like what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button and away you go. What else we got here? We got Devin Dean, and away we go. Tony, when you mentioned Semesk the other day, you gave me flashbacks to my Gagetown summers. Yes, well, having spent some time in Gagetown myself, yeah, Gagetown could be fun that way. I say that sarcastically. Paul is in the house. Hey, all. Big slow target. Nothing to tell. I've lost an entire starship just out of space dock. Really? Well, we need to hear more about that. Thanks. We'll be doing more with the new ships soon, hopefully. Yes, so Paul in our chat there is our CGA artist extraordinaire. Anything you've seen as far as CGA modeling is his his work to show. And I'm hoping, I'm looking forward to, as Paul is working away in the background, to come up with some new animation introductions for the live stream to make things sort of exciting and delighting in all the way we go. So yes, looking at that. What else we got? Big slow target morning. Bill ISC just saying Splintered Will has hidden start maps. Jim Howard in that game, no one knows where anyone is. Pew pew. Daniel is in the house, and a beard. Is this the mirror universe, Tony? Oh, well, one can only think. So let me start by sharing with you an example of the map. Are you not entertained? No, I guess you're not. No, I can understand how perhaps this big gray map might be nothing to look at. Okay. So on this randomized map, we have an example of the Paravians. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, a coffee has been fired. Let me introduce you to the term coffee if you are new here. So you will see above my head there is the support us at coffee/New Worlds. When we went back to the other screen, you would have seen that as well. And every time you send us a coffee, you'll hear that disruptor sound. So a coffee can come in various formats. We have a one-time donation of a caffeinated goodness sip. Let me take a quick sip of that. Oh yeah. Actually, I'll head right back here so you can see. You can see right there over in the corner, support us at coffee.com/New Worlds. You can get a coffee that way. You can also join us on our Discord channel at the coffee and Discord tier. You can join us there, and it will automatically prompt you, send you a link to be able to join us on our Discord channel. But if any of those things are not quite your thing, you can also wet your whistle with one of these wonderful glasses. Look at that. New Worlds on the pint glass. It's almost like it makes it taste more refreshing. You can find that. There's a link on the YouTube channel too. stnewworlds.com, where you can go to our Shopify store and you can get those custom made for you on demand. There's a couple of different varieties for each of the campaigns, and then one nostalgic one from our previous New Worlds campaign. You can go over and check those out. But let me get back to the map. All right. So here we have the Paravian. So for context, excuse me, this is only turn 5 in the Paravian turn. So, yes, turn 5 in the Paravian turn, there is a little bit of confusion on my end. So initially, when we started this game, there was this fog of war. Obviously, you can see all the great hexes, and then you can see that there are so there is a bunch of hexes that are explored. Now, the initial sort of philosophy from our GM was that using telescopes and various things, you could see outside of your solar system and so on, and that's what that represented. And then there was some conversation about the hexes that had been... Ooh, another coffee has been fired. Oh, my goodness. I'm just going to have to keep taking sips of coffee, keep me highly energized and motivated. Wow. All right. So, fog of war, and then you could see these hexes, but then there was this discussion or this concern, I think, that was raised around where all these potential resources would be, and that you would be missing out. Because every time you go and explore one of these hexes, there's a randomized roll to see whether, in this campaign, whether you can see what you... Oh my goodness, all the coffees keep firing. Thank you very much. It's a volley. It's a fire forensic. There's so much excitement. I've lost words. I can't even come up with the proper alliteration, the wordplay, the ways to describe, the adjectives to use. Oh my goodness. Thank you very much for all those wonderful coffee firings my way. All right. And as you can see, oh my goodness. Okay, so we've got the Amish universe. Wow. Okay, Bill Smith. So the Gorn have fired a coffee. Secret antagonists have fired a coffee, and Lost Muskrat has fired a coffee. Thank you all. You can see that in the chat there. Okay, so where was I? So there was every time you explore a Fog of War hex, there's a roll that's done to see what's in that hex. It could be a planet, it could be resource, it could be nothing, it could be something foul that's going to blow up your ship and so on. And so with exploring that initial bubble around your homeworld, there was, I guess, a concern around you not being able to explore stuff. Now, the GM had done the exploration rules for all those hexes, but I guess there was some issues with that. So the discussion had been to basically Fog of War it back to the homeworlds, those 3 planets that you'll see as I take away the ships here. These 3 right here, this trifecta. So take it back to the home system and then explore from there. And so that was my understanding as to how that was. As you can see, that's not the case. So I will have to clarify with our GM because, for example, and this would be pretty basic for 4X player. These little white blue dot things are resources. They are worth $1 or 1 EP economic point each. If I take away the ships, these planety things, so we've got this little half one, which is a colony, also worth 1 EP, but it can grow over time. This minor planet, which is this full circle, is worth 3 EP, and then the home system, or my capital, is worth a total of 10. So these guys are dollar, like that's money that I would need. So if it was within sight and it's within, these early ships can move 3 hexes. So they all started here on the homeworld. And so the objective would have been to quickly secure those. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So go and secure those and then continue to explore where you need to explore. But if we had the area already explored and open, no problem. Yeah, I'm just confused because this is This is not what was communicated initially, and so I'm just a little confused. Right. So that just means that me and the GM are gonna have a little chat to sort out what in the world is going on. It seems very very bizarre in my little mind that it may be. Okay, let's pull this away and let me show you this big bad map right here. So this is an example of the map, the generic map from the campaign I was just showing you. So the Praevian player, I'm the Praevian player in that game, and this is an example of what the big map looks like. So you can see there's not so random distribution of players, and these as I zoom in, you will see these little icons here. The A's are all indicating that on this map, for example, if I was the Praevian, let's say I'm in Tango 18 here. I'm in this hex right over here. And I, from my little spot in the universe, can see, using my telescopes and all my technology, I can see that there's something over here and there's something over here. And all the warp signatures that are in or on the map are other potential civilizations. And so then you got to go out and explore and engage with these folks. And so in past games, we hadn't seen where the starting positions were of all the other players. So as you expanded out, you were always you had an idea of where they could be, but you didn't know exactly where they were. And who knows how they were expanding and when you'd bump into them and so on and so forth. Now with this, you've got a much better idea as to where everybody is from a starting position, and then you sort of can head out in their direction if you want to go meet them, or a different direction if you want to avoid them, or whatever the case may be. So that's what the sort of the big map looks like. And as you can see, it's sort of a big rectangle. And in the center here, there is a sort of an NPC. So in the last game, we had New Worlds, and we had in the center of the map the sort of GM faction, we'll call them the Juggernauts. So in this game, we have, for all intents and purposes, at the center of the universe, we have a energy barrier that is around this old throne world of an ancient empire that once ruled across this galaxy. And as it is right now, the idea is you could potentially cross that energy threshold. But our scientists have told us that should we try to cross that barrier, it is likely, probable, certain almost, that our ships will be crippled in the process. Now, that's right, we will cross this barrier and we will be essentially crippled to the point where we can go no further. And our preliminary data, our observations, have indicated that there's some kind of device within the energy barrier. One might call it a death probe. And it is a device, a protection apparatus that may destroy whatever crosses that barrier. Because, of course, if we cross that barrier and we are crippled, vulnerable to attack, and then this highly advanced device may come and destroy us, well, who knows what may happen there. So, yeah, we'll have to see. There's also some victory conditions, which previously we've never had in any particular game. And so the idea is that if you have control of as many as 6 different, every homeworld has some data key that could potentially unlock that energy barrier. If you control 6 of them, then you can unlock the energy barrier. And then you still got to deal with that, whatever that device is on the inside. But if you have control of basically 50% of the capitals through ally or conquering, then you can potentially deactivate that, and away you go. We'll have to see how that works, and whether our different player factions will align to be able to do that. Now, what's interesting to note is if you'll do the quick math on this, there's 5 on the bottom. There's 5 on the top, and there's 2 on either side. So that's a total of 12. But we only have 10 players in the game. So if there are 10 players in the game, but there are 12 positions, perhaps the GM is running a couple of non-player factions, and we'll have to see where they are, what they're doing, and how they sort of interact. It'll be very interesting to see how that progresses over time. But that is an example of what the Imperial Stars campaign looks like. Now, let me ever so quickly, as I slide back here, I'm going to pull up an image. Not what I'm looking for. Where did I put it? Is the question. That's what happens when you do that after so long. Here we are. Okay. So let's open this up, and I will slide back over here. Okay. Let's zoom in a bit. Can I zoom in a bit? Can I zoom in a bit? Is there any zooming in that can be done? There we are. Okay. So this is a different campaign. This is in the Splintered Will campaign. This is, it's labeled right there. This is a table that the GM put together with regards to where players are in their turn progression. So you can see here in turn, most of the players have completed turn 10. Player 6 is at turn 5. 2 players are MIA. We'll get to that in a moment. You've got a number of hexes that have been explored. So you can see that player number 3 and player number 9 are doing excellent with 28 hexes explored each. You can see that that doesn't necessarily translate into the best economic situation, because player 2 only has 20 hexes explored but has their EP at 29. The player 1 only has 23 hexes and is at 32 with the king of the hill from the economic perspective. You've got a couple of 28s, 29, 27. So, player 3 has explored the most and yet has the lowest economy. Interesting to note. Notice the distance from the homeworld explored: 3 hexes, 5 hexes, 4 hexes. Interesting. And the number of exploration fleets doing exploration. So you've got ranging between 4 to 6, with the average being 5. So very interesting to note. Now, I'd be interested to see what the composition of those exploration fleets are, in the sense of what kinds of ships are you using in the exploration fleet. By example, you have exploration freighters, you have large exploration freighters, small exploration freighters. Some people have survey cruisers or survey ships of some time. Some of them are cruisers, some of them are destroyers, but they're survey warships of some type that have some ability to defend themselves. So yes, very, very sort of interesting to note. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the GM for this campaign, I do not have a non-randomized map to show you. I don't believe. Actually, I think I do. Let me slide back here and pull up my map, if I may. Campaign info. Splintered Will. I am just loading up Vassal. You'll have to excuse me. Sometimes Vassal can be a little tardy, in the sense that it doesn't move quickly. So one of the things about Splintered Will as a game versus some of the other campaigns is that, whereas the other 2 campaigns randomly generate their maps, the Splintered Will campaign is a campaign where the GM has intentionally, conscientiously planned out and plotted all the resources, planets, and stuff like that. So the map is predetermined. We're just discovering it. So that's sort of interesting to note. All right, so let me walk on over to this map. Oh, goodness gracious. So here we are in turn 10 for the Hydran Kingdom in this particular game. Now, you'll see, this is a little maplet, meaning that it's a small little map. I don't know where I am on the big map of Splintered Will. No one does at this point. And so we can just see what this map looks like. So I don't know exactly which player I am on that table, But let's just do a quick tally to see where the Hydran player is in Splintered Will. All right, let's, as with all things, let's start with EP. Now, don't get excited with all these things. I haven't discovered all these people. Let's just take a look. The Hydrans currently have 27 EP. So if I pull up that picture, 27 EP, looks like I am player 10. So based on everything that's going on here, it seems as though I'm player 10. Interesting to note here, look, I have 27 EP, which is not the lowest, but pretty close to the lowest. And I also have very few hexes explored relative to the other players. Interesting to note. Interesting. Okay. You'll see here that as I zoom in, so we can get a better look at what's going on with this ridiculous Hydran player. Who is this guy? Okay, so what do we got here? We've got a bunch of exploration fleets. So let's take up the Hydran fleet, exploration fleet. So here you can see all the exploration fleets. So you can note that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 large exploration freighters and 1 small exploration freighter. That's it. That's all I got. So a small number of ships. I also have 2 tugs in the mix. So if I pull up fleet cap, which is something we normally check out, you can see that the Hydrans have 2 ship equivalents, which are those 2 tugs. They have a 2 attack because they have 1 attack each. 28 fleet cap, which is not accurate, so there must be something slightly off with that because they do not have 28 defense. They have 5 defense each, so that would be a 210 total, not a fleet cap of 28. So that is a little off, whatever this is. So let's see here. We've got 1, 5, 1, 5, and oh, so it seems as though it's counting the defense factors of all my exploration ships in the fleet cap. So if that's the case, I have 2 ship equivalents, which are the tugs, and I have all the combined defense factors of all those ships is 28. So you can see the 2 ship equivalents are the tugs in those hexes, and they are 1, 5 each, and away we go. Okay, so now let's take away all the ships and let's count. So this is the home world here, and I'll take away bases here for a sec so you can see what the map looks like. It's a very strange shape, isn't it? We've got the home world, we've got colony up here, a medium planet down here, medium planet of note because it does 4 EP, not 3 of the minor planet, which is this guy right here. So I've got my capital, a major which does 5, a minor which does 3, so this is a total of 18 EP. 4 EP from a minor planet, or sorry, medium planet, 1 from the colony, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 EP from the resources. So let's count the hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the southerly direction. Going north, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, yep, pretty much 3. So 3 in all directions except for that one sort of spoke where we've gone a total of 4 hexes. Now, let's pull up the bases again. So now you'll notice that in this progression, I've also got 2 bases, one that's about to be completed, one that's already completed. So why do you build those bases? Well, let me show you Hydran supply, and we'll set supply at 2. So that is the area that I can explore with my static supply range. Also, according to the rules in our game, this is technically my own territory, anything that's within static supply. So these are the hexes that I can explore. So while I've explored only 19 hexes, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 hexes still to explore. Not to mention that there's going to be probably some base building happening in my near future. And as I build those bases out, there'll be other kind of areas of exploration that will occur. So it's very interesting to see. I've got kind of like a P ovally tic-tac shape here and exploring in various directions. Now, I will say that for my particular game, I'm running a specific experiment. There are 3 different campaigns or 3 different games in this single campaign, and I'm running an experiment in all 3 of them to see what works best. and I will challenge you all, because I'll share with you this Hydran turn as we progress. I will challenge you all to figure out what is the experiment that I'm running, or how does my play style and what I'm doing compare to what you're doing in your game if you're a player in this game. As we can very clearly see, according to this table, I am not the most successful at this point. Now, is that just the luck of the dice? Because again, you're still rolling to explore, and maybe you don't roll successfully to explore. Maybe the person who's explored 28 hexes, these two folks here, player 3 and 9, maybe they're just really lucky. It is also important to note that they both are the only two that have 6 exploration fleets, whereas everyone else has 5 or less. So that's interesting to note. They're exploring a lot of hexes. What about EP? Well, the guy player 1, who's explored only 23 hexes compared to my 19, has 32 EP, so he's making lots of money. But he's only explored 3 hexes from his homeworld, which is interesting to note. So yeah, think about this. The 2 people with the highest EP, 2 of the 3, have only gone 3 hexes out from their homeworld, and yet they've made quite a bit of income. So if we go back to this map, perhaps within the first 3 hexes of my homeworld, this is my homeworld here, perhaps there is something in these hexes that are very close to me that I need to discover and explore. So if we bring back the ships here, you'll see that my exploration ships are continuing to do exploration in their sort of like little nodes of unexplored hexes. And I'll be able to continue building out bases, because the Hydrans are one of the factions that get tugs early. And so tugs are great because they allow you to build bases quickly, and then you can expand and away you go. So that's a very interesting sort of tool that you can use at this early stage of the game, and really extend your reach depending on where it is you want to go and what it is that you want to do. So yeah, very, very interesting to see how this is going to explore and expand out as we go. So yeah. Interesting. So all of my players, many of the players are currently in the chat. What do you guys think? What are your commentaries on what you see on the screen right now? You're thinking, I know Jim is, Tony, you have not got your turn 15 map back. No, this is only turn 10. So this is turn 10. I have not done past turn 10 at this point. So at turn 10, what are we thinking? Are we thinking, because one of the interesting things to note, and let me slide back into the main screen here. One of the important things to note is that I am by no means the best player, which for some reason some people think, in this game. Fact, I have lost every single game that I've ever played in this. Period. So how could I possibly be the biggest threat? But that being said, I know at least one player, Jim. Oh, sorry, I need to wet my whistle, excuse me. Goodness gracious, it's so good when it comes out of that glass. Oh, so good. Yeah, there's at least one player who is particularly focused on taking me out. So we'll have to see what that looks like as we go forward. But yes, the way this is going to unfold over time, it will be very, very interesting. Now, let me talk about those 2 players. So we have normally in this game, we have in Splintered, we have 10 players. But 2 of those players are non-responsive. Now, when we started off this game, we wanted to make sure that obviously everyone had an opportunity to play, everyone was ready to go, and these 2 players just have not responded with regards to the game. So we have 2 options. As was previously the case, we can balkanize their territory, which at this point, because they haven't started anything, there's no territory to really go anywhere with. They basically don't exist. So we're at this very, very sort of opportunistic spot. We can throw 2 new players into this game and catch them up very quickly. However, they will need to we need to identify those players very quickly. So here's the proposal I put forward. So all of our current Coffee and Patreon supporters are currently in our games right now. So I will put this offer out for today is the 2nd of September. And of course we are, it's now 11:40 Pacific time. If the next 2 players or the next 2 individuals who subscribe to the Coffee and Discord tier on Coffee and or Patreon and then can get into the chat, the first 2 that do that, that get in and are able to identify themselves and request to get into this campaign, those 2 players, those 2 individuals will then be eligible to be players in the campaign. Obviously, there's, a couple little criteria we got to sort out, and we got to sort of onboard you with regards to the game. But if we, if you are one of the 2 quickest people to hit the Coffee and Discord tier, get into our Discord chat, identify that you want to be in this game and you're not already in a game, then we'll slot you in. Of course, if you are one of these 2 players that's MIA and you're watching this, you're like, wait, what's going on? Then get your butt on Discord. You have received an invite. You have email addresses. You're part of the group. Reach out to the GM and get yourself up to speed. But if you don't kind of pick up the pace or communicate, then we just have to assume that you're not interested in playing. We have to carry on. So does that sound fair to you as far as how we move forward? If you're interested in playing in this game and you want to get into that map and you want to fight those Hydrans, those dirty, squiggly, squid-like Hydrans, then please feel free to hit the Coffee and Discord tier at that link down there below, coffee.com/New Worlds, and identify yourself as wanting to play in this campaign, and we will slot you in. Again, there's only 2 slots available, so the first come, first serve policy is in full effect in stereo sound. Get on it, get to it, and don't be shy. All right, so with that said, we've got the king has returned, says Dell. All right, so we've got Splintered Will. We've got the Imperial Stars, and now let's talk about New Horizons. So, what's the deal with New Horizons? I don't have a non-identifying map for New Horizons. I can't show you where I'm at, but what I can show you is the current sort of state of where we are in the game. Let me just find... Come on now. Play with me. All right, here we go. Let's maximize and slide over. Can't see that? Let's zoom in. Boom. It's a little pixelated because it's from a little screen capture. But these are the factions that are currently playing in the New Horizons campaign, and this is where all the turns are at. So the Borac, I'll let you know I am the Borac in that game. So the Borac are at turn 10. Of course, you can see everybody leading into all those turn 10s completed. We have the Klingon player is currently at turn 6, or at least as of the time of this little table. We have a Kzinti and a Lyran player. The Paravians are at turn 8, and the Tholian player is at turn 5. So that's the progression of the New Horizons campaign. Much like the other campaigns, the New Horizons campaign has a large map where you can see where everybody is placed. I would show you that, except that if I show you the map that I have, I will show you where I am. And I know that there is some energy, enthusiasm, some motivation to come find me in particular, anyone for that matter, but certainly there's some focused attention on this guy, and I'm not ready for that just yet. So I'm going to hold off until I can get a more randomized, roadmap to my front door kind of map to show you to get you coming to where I am. So that's where we're at. So we got all those turns progressed. We've got basically the slowest player, quote unquote, is at turn 5. Everyone else is at turn 10. Once everyone's at turn 10, which will happen shortly, then we'll move forward and continue those turns. At this early stage of the game, as I slide back, at this early stage of the game, the turns progress quickly, but they go in bunches, like spurts and bursts. And so we can do, because there's so little happening at any one time, you can go 5 at a turn. Sometimes you can go 10 at a time, depending on where the GM is at and how they're able to process those turns. But over the next month, for example, we'll be able to get quickly to a point where we may not be bumping into each other, but we will be very close. So I expect that over the month of September, we'll be able to see a progression in these various games, where we will get to a point where we will start to see folks growing to a size where they will start to bump into each other. Now, that being said, the Splintered Will campaign is a campaign where the map is a little bit bigger. And because, as you saw, we only get the little maplet initially, we only have that to see, meaning we don't know where everybody else is. The other two, Imperial Stars and New Horizons, we get to see where everybody is, or we get to see where other players are. We just don't know who's who in the zoo. Splintered Will isn't like that. Splintered Will is a different map format, so instead of randomly generated, it's pre-planned. We are currently in these small little maplet areas, and the objective of that game specifically is, if you've followed us in Lost Stars and New Worlds, you know that we start off we have these 4 milestones of technology. We start off in the W era, although you will note that in the Paravian turn I showed you, I'm in the S era, which is before W. So there's the S, the W, really it's W, Y. I don't know where they come up with why I do not know the motivation for the letter designations for these things, but whatever. There's the W, it starts off in W. Then there's the Y era. Then there's the M era for the middle years, and then the GW is the General War. And this is all in the context of the Federation Empire game, the game proper. And so the General War is sort of the end, the most advanced ships, end state technology. You get all the toys, you get all the bells and whistles, you get all the cool stuff that you can do. That's GW. We have never really had a game that gets to GW, and we really get to the point where people get to have big all-out wars using all the toys. So in Splintered Will, the map is big enough, and the hope is that people won't start bumping into each other until M or late M, and potentially they will get to a fully fledged GW, meaning that there will be the opportunity to have fully fledged wars in GW for all the different factions. And that'll be interesting because, like I say, there's more option. There are more options, there are more toys, there are more capabilities, there's more flexibility of ways that you can conduct your war. It is a war game after all. How you can conduct that war, how you can fight, and how you can do what you're going to do. So there's so many different options of how we can move that forward and what we can do. So it'll be very interesting to see. All right. So with that said, let's do a quick little scroll through the chat and see where we are at. And while I'm doing that, what do you think of the new color scheme? I used the colors based on, of course, the new New Worlds logo. Do you like yellow? Is yellow a good color? Or did you like the red before? The red, of course, the coordination with the Klingons as I was the Klingons in the previous campaign. But what do you think about yellow? Too bright? Too much? Too little? What do you like? We can play around with these things and make new and exciting color schemes, as the case may be. We shall see. Daniel, all New Horizons players are now at turn 10, says Daniel, which means time to get on the turn sheet and start submitting up to turn 15, I would imagine. Okay, so let's pick up the chat after all those coffees were fired. Thank you all for the coffee volleys. Our goal today was 3. You can see down below me, the green bar is full, which means we hit our goal for today. It seems like I should be a little more ambitious now that we have more players in the mix. But let's take a look. All right, Jim's saying, we are unable to see each other's maps in Splintered Will. Right, so that was the little maplets we were talking about, those little hexes like I showed you with the Hydrans. They are small player maps and not the real map locations. Dale is saying, hi all. Hi Dale. Hi Dale. Tony, have you got your turn 15 map for Splintered Will yet? And the answer was no. Jim says, Pecker Khan will peck any ticks off your new alien encounters. Right. Bill says, just the biggest target on your back, Haas. You are seen as the guy to beat outside of Derek or Chuck. Bill Linton, you have the most vassal F&E game time. That's true. That's true. But it'll be interesting to see how, knowing, for example, Dave Brewster, who was the Romulan player in New Worlds, Derek, and then Smitty was the Gorn player. So those 3. Oh, another coffee has been fired, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, of course. Nothing has changed. Everyone's in Kazinti space. Absolutely correct. Things have not changed. So who fired that coffee? We're by Dale Davis. Dale, thank you for the caffeinated goodness. Let me take a little celebratory swig. Oh, yeah. By the way, stnewworlds.com. You can go check that out. If you're looking for the link, it's also on our homepage or on the YouTube page. If you want to head over there at stnewworlds, you can find that there. All right, so where were we here? The biggest target on your back. Right. Dell says the king has returned. Jim, he's going to peck everyone. Daniel mentions tugs are great for bases, extending supply, and mobile nodes for strategic movement. Fact. Doesn't just have to be Hydrans. Pecker Khan of Paravian is your friend. Right, of course. Jim, the biggest bloodthirsty, scourge of space that you could find in a game. We'll see. Where's our next turn, Daniel? Smitty says. You can't be petty. Will you be live streaming from all 3 campaigns each Saturday? So the answer to that will be no, because at some point the campaigns will get so big there'll be too much to cover. So I'm not sure yet what that's going to look like. I'll have to ask all of you and figure out what works best. I have a feeling we're going to get to a point where all 3 campaigns are going to branch off into their own shows, for lack of a better way to describe it. And we will be talking about how things are progressing in each campaign. Because, for example, if we think about Splintered Will, that's going to be so big. There's going to be so much going on. I could spend an hour just talking about that campaign, just like we did in New Worlds. Like, there were some of those shows on New Worlds that went almost 2 hours. So if that's the case, then, we have to be mindful of time and figure that out. So we'll see how it goes. But I have a feeling that somewhere before Christmas, all the shows will splinter off into their own sort of segments, if we'll call it that. And maybe we'll record one big episode and then we'll just break it up into separate episodes or separate shows after that. I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes. Excuse me. Jim, yeah, Robin, where's my turn? Excuse me. Smitty, comes with the turns, Lost Muskie. Dell, I see nothing's changed. Everyone's in Kazinti space, of course. True dat, sorry Dave. Sorry Dave B. Call out new W peep. I have so much to learn, Dale says. Sad I missed Imperial Stars. Have to watch the replay. All right. Well, we will be, of course, bringing the latest and greatest, the most up-to-date and on the border, the expansion, the front of all the exciting and news-related items that will be coming from our various campaigns. Once again, we have New Horizons, Imperial Stars, and Splintered Will. 3 games, 1 campaign known as Event Horizons, I should say, plural. And this is the start of what will probably be another 2-year affair as we begin the journey down the road of galactic conquest. Where will you land? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Will the Paravians in Imperial Stars be wiped off the face of the map after that horrible turn start? Will the Hydrans conquer the rest of the galaxy with their tentacle goodness? Will the Borac go off and explore far deep into the far reaches of space, making contact and trade with all their various allies? Or will they crush and crumble those who are too weak to stand up against them? I don't know. We'll have to see. Incidentally, as we are getting close to the end of the show here, let me share with you a little nugget of narrative goodness about the Borac, which is the faction I'm playing in New Horizons. Let's give you a description of the Borac. So give me a second, it's loading. So to give you context here, I created a Word document that allowed me to just get a sense of what I was going to be doing in this game. How was I going to craft the character of the Borac in New Horizons? Well, I created just sort of a template of how I'm going to run this particular faction, kind of like a character foil, and this is what it is. So I've broken it down into the history of the faction, personality traits, cultural themes that I'll be using as motivating factions, motivational themes like what is driving this faction forward, and then sort of like inspirational things like what kind of visual and or sort of thematic cues can I pull to shape and color what this faction is going to look like. So starting with that, inspirational themes, I'm thinking of cyberpunk just as a generic genre. If you guys remember from the Transformers motion picture, the Rekions, Eric Idle was the voice of Wreck-Gar in that. And so the Rekions were this Transformer faction or species, I guess, that they just amalgamated everybody else's parts and technology into them, and they just were like a garbage pile where they just took everything and made stuff out of it. So they were very inventive, they were innovative, and they were very durable because you would blow off their arm and they would literally grab some pieces in the garbage around them and put it back on. And so they were very durable in that sense. And so inspirational themes, cyberpunk, Rekions, and mercantilism. So mercantilism is different from sort of capitalism in the sense it's all about trade, right? I've got stuff I want to exchange with you. You got stuff you want to exchange with me. It's the trading of goods, which is what that's all about. And so that's sort of like inspirational themes for this faction. Motivational themes. So what motivates the Borac in Event Horizons? Number 1, economic, as in highest income growth. They're focused on economic growth and getting to the point where they are the number 1 top dog on that EP scale. 2, scientific. They are focused on scientific advancement. They want to have the most advanced technology in the game because it helps them leverage and get to their first goal, which is the economic growth and highest income. And then, of course, control of strategic access points that facilitate the first point, which is economic growth. So if I'm able to control, like in the last game, Star Trek New Worlds, we had wormholes and things like that that were strategic access nodes to be able to get to resources and stuff around the map. So if there are elements in this game that allow me as a player, as the Borac, to be able to access and get around to different parts of the map for the purposes of economic growth and scientific advancement, those are going to be things that are going to motivate the Borac, to try and have access to or control or have some kind of influence over those access points. Cultural themes. So from a personality perspective, what are the things about the Borac that are thematic? So one is individualism, and two, embracing of technology. And I'll get into that in the history a little bit. And personality traits. So when you're role-playing, when the players are role-playing with the Borac, what are some aspects of the interaction? Well, they are very transactional. So I give you something, I get something in return. Or, what do I get out of this? What's in it for me? And negotiation first, meaning that whereas the Klingons were shoot first and ask questions later, the Borac are very much interested in ROI, return on investment. And so they're interested in negotiating with different player factions to be able to find out where that exchange or that best rate of return is. Now, does that mean that they won't shoot first? Maybe. Will they use gunboat diplomacy to be able to leverage their position? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe they'll be all about just, we're peaceful, relax, chill out. We'll see how it goes. It just depends on who they interact with, how those interactions go, and what the environment of the game is at the time that happens. So it'll be very interesting to see. So let me read you the history here as I've written it out for the Borac. Let me take a quick sip so I can wet my whistle so I give you a nice, smooth dictation. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Okay. I'm very proud of that cup, by the way. I mean, we've got one for each campaign, and it's sort of our first real merch other than the patches from the last game. And so it's really neat to have like a physical takeaway for the game, which I got to say is great. So thank you for everybody who sort of made that possible. All right. History. The Borac are a highly advanced culture with a keen focus on profit and growth, with technology as the leverage to get them there. The Borac civilization has seen exponential growth since the discovery of profit and the capitalistic mindset. As a population in a constant state of competition, the Borac have adopted capitalism on an individual level. This drives a high degree of competition between members of the society to succeed, but a strong nationalistic and collective identity versus other species. In short, they are very tribal. Domestically, this is seen as the Borac leveraging every inch of their home system in an effort to get the most out of their limited resources. In support of their technological advancement and competitive culture, the Borac have adopted cybernetic implants and augmentation in an effort to become more competitive domestically. This feeds into their love and leveraging of technology as a competitive advantage. However, the end goal and metrics are always kept in mind. The Borac have an insatiable hunger for resources, depicted as EP in this game. In true capitalistic fashion, the Borac have a growth focus. They must always be increasing their income, technology, territory to gain more EP, and assets, fleet size, bases, etc., in an effort to be competitive. The Borac will be negatively inclined toward factions who do not add value. The Borac will be highly manipulative in order to achieve their goals. Preferring to be honest, open, and transparent in their relationships with strategic partners, those whom they see as untrustworthy will be seen as elements that need to be eliminated. The Borac will attempt to avoid direct conflict whenever possible. When conflict is the desired course of action, every effort will be made to resolve conflict quickly. Low cost and high yield is the objective here. So that is all I got for the Borac as of right now. That document may see a little bit of expansion and sort of I'll expand upon it perhaps as we go forward. But that's where we're at when it comes to the Borac. The Borac, interestingly enough, I previously referred to them as the Batman faction. You'll notice they're sort of a blue and yellow color scheme, very sort of 1960s Batman motif. Their ships have sort of a bat. They look sort of bat-like on the map. What's interesting to note about their weapons systems, though, it doesn't really have an effect on the strategic game, but if you're a Starfleet Battles fan, they have what's called a mega phaser. And the mega phaser is their heavy weapon. It operates a lot like a mauler, and certainly they have maulers later in the game. But the Borac have basically phasers, phaser ones, and this mega phaser cannon, which in Starfleet Battles is mounted on turrets. Yeah, mounted on turrets, and they can move around and target you at various different angles. They're very, very effective. And the one, I guess, fault or weakness of the Borac is that they're, especially in the Y and I think even in the M era, their frigates and destroyers suck really badly. Like, they are very, very weak. So it's a very interesting dynamic of how the fleet composition is going to work with these guys going forward. Because again, it's like using the motivational factors I was talking about, ROI, return on investment. So you're going to build a frigate or destroyer. What are you using it for? You can't use it for offense because they're so weak relative to other ships. Now, that being said, whereas some of the other factions have perhaps weaker capital ships, like the Carnarvon, for example, they only have their attack factors on some of their cruisers are only 3, by example. The Borac have 4-6 cruisers, but they're, like I say, their frigates and their destroyers are just atrocious. So we'll have to see how this goes forward and how this goes. I see Big Slow Target is chatting away. Let me see what whoa, there's a lot there. Okay, so Big Slow Target says, history of the New Horizons. Klingon history was completely changed by the advanced Vulcan ship crash landed on the moon Praxis. Wave after wave of the most aggressive warriors broke against the hyper-advanced Vulcan technology, sometimes suspected to be related to time travel. Eventually, peace through exhaustion set in. Constant Vulcan study and Klingon respect via battle created a workable relationship. Philosophical revolutions attributed to the Vulcan philosopher Surak built that into a partnership. Honor was recognized as logically valuable. Logic was recognized as a key part of honorable life. The philosophy of the Cold Warrior was born. Interesting. Daniel says, the Borac are so peaceful. They never developed any heavy weapons other than the phaser. Even the Federation was belligerent enough to develop photon torpedoes. See that? The Borac are your friend. I am nothing but an economic partner for you in New Horizons to be able to build and, grow your phenomenal empire. I am just a partner to help you succeed. I'm here to help you. Help me. Help you. Yeah? I like that. It's good. Okay. All right. So I think that's it for today. Thank you very much for joining us. I think we will see you next week. Oh, sorry. Let me before we go, next week there will be no live stream because I will be traveling, unfortunately, at our normal live stream timing. I will we'll see about whether there will be a recorded video that will come out on that day, sort of recapping and seeing where we're at with regards to turns and so on and so forth. Who knows? Maybe Paul will have polished up and finished up some of those CGI models and we can share with you a little animated goodness. We will have to see. But again, don't expect a live stream next week as unfortunately I'll be traveling and won't be available to be able to do that. Other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful week. And for those of you who are players in our campaign, I am looking forward to seeing what happens as the turns progress. For those of you, for our GM in Imperial Stars, we need to chat. What is up with that? Yeah. Anyways, we'll talk later. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Ciao for now.